What's going on, guys? Jay with the news, back again with another video. I don't want to take up too much of you guys' time, so I'm going to get straight into the video. Let's go.
Saying the risk is too great, a Cook County judge has ordered that Raylon East remain behind bars for what he calls the cold and calculated murder of two of his former co-workers. Raylon East is behind bars
Look at this guy,
for the
man.
fatal shootings of two ex-co-workers at Navy Pier earlier this week. The 36-year-old South Shore resident has been charged with first-degree murder, an unlawful use of a weapon by a felon in connection with the November 5th slayings. East turned himself in a few days later and was arrested after authorities released images of him on public transportation. Investigators describe East as a disgruntled employee who worked for the Navy Restaurants, a hospitality and catering company, before he was fired on October 29th. The company says since being hired just over a year ago, East had been reprimanded for multiple verbal and physical aggressions toward his co-workers.
Hell no.
In court, prosecutors say after being let go weeks earlier, East left his Southside home that morning dressed in his cook's uniform and used public transportation to go to Navy Pier. Detectives say that's how he was able to gain entry into the business. Once inside, he went into a private office area near the loading dock. Prosecutors say he confronted his former co-workers, 51-year-old Lamont Johnson and 47-year-old Peter Jennings, and shot both of them in the head.
Damn.
The victims, who later died at the hospital of their wounds, were eventually discovered by other employees. Meanwhile, authorities say East threw the weapon he allegedly used in the murders into the lake before taking public transportation to flee. Chicago Police Department divers recovered the weapon. Chicago police launched an exhaustive search. Investigators say the Kenwood High School graduate dressed in several layers of clothing to commit the murders. Authorities released security and surveillance images of a person they say was Raylon East, discarding different items of clothing at various times to avoid detection. Police say Raylon East is a convicted felon who was sentenced to 8 years in prison for aggravated robbery.
Hell
He
no.
has no valid FOID card and is not a licensed concealed carry holder. If convicted, East could be sentenced to life in prison. He returns to court next week.
Watch breaking news.
That's crazy, man. This man was able to go in. He done got fired before. He already got fired. Went in. No one recognized him and be like, hey, you're not supposed to be here. Went in there with a gun to shoot two of his co-workers. He was at unalive two of them just right there on the spot, and left, got on the transit bus or whatever it was to head back home. And then had time to throw the gun in the lake, acting like they're not going to find it, which they mostly do. And you thought you were just going to get away with it? What? How do you put your mind together like that to think, I'm going to kill somebody, I'm going to kill two people, and I'm going to get away with it? They're not going to find me, they're not going to catch me. How is that possible? I don't understand it. How you put your mind together to think that is possible. You're able to get away by shooting two people, unaliving them, and walk away like nothing happened. These demons don't have no heart at all, man. Something happened a while ago, you still keep that grudge in your head to be like, you know what? I'm gonna go shoot these two dudes because maybe it was them that caused me to lose my job. I mean, they didn't check his records like knowing he was a convicted felon before. This is why these jobs, you gotta be careful, man. I know people can lie on their resumes and stuff like that where you can't detect certain things. But that right there should have been that should have been detected a long time ago. Now they down two chefs or whatever them guys were. You know, RIP to both of them, their family. Sucks to say that, man. Man, that's very tough to say, man. The things that the family probably going through. They got kids, they got a family, and you was able to go in there. Just like you probably have kids, you have a family too. Now they're not going to see you. And I don't know why the unalive wasn't on the table, meaning the death, penalty wasn't on the table for him. Because that's what he deserved. That's crazy, man. I'm still shocked about that. That you was able to go in and just shoot 2 people just like that. End their lives. Without no heart, man. My thing is the fact that you was able to get on the bus, try to head home is crazy to me. And it took them some time to find him because another coworker find him too, was on the ground with gun, with shots to their head and stuff like that. Wow. Wow. There's sometimes, man, you can talk and you say things, but the problem is sometimes you don't know what to say because you see this happening so much to where you're immune to it. You're just immune to this stuff. Nowadays, nobody care for each other no more, man. Too many arguments, too many fights, too many shooting, too many killings, all this other extra stuff is, nah, man. We got to get away from this stuff. And to be honest, in the black community, there's no solution. The only solution I used to give was just stop, but they can't stop. They can't stop themselves from doing it. They get a high of doing these type of things. Murdering each other, like unaliving each other, they get a high. And it seemed like just they're going to be doing this for the rest of their lives. I just don't understand. You could be like a 40-year-old person still thinking about being a thug and a gang, shooting, all this other nonsense. That's not helping you nowhere in life. You go to the block, they still there, the same dudes, left the block, man, like years ago, and it be the same dude doing the same thing over and over, living with their parents. Robbing, stealing, robbing your neighbors every 3 months. They don't know anything, like they never been on a plane, they never left a city. I digress, but anyway, RIP to those 2 guys, man. Just sorry to hear that, and it's gonna take some time for the parents or family members to they're gonna be going through some things, man. And I think it's very sad how we as humans continue to do the same thing to harm each other over words. No one touch you anything. You're not even supposed to have a gun because you're not licensed for one. But you have one. I sometimes don't be knowing what to say, man. I just shake my head and just be like, damn, here we go again. Another one bite the dust.